It's only.
I feel like they.
Why you have to be mad?
Sorry, what was that?
Is he in Nashville? am, am I close geographically?
They've
The
been cooking it
contracts.
up.
The contracts are coming in.
No one knows what he is. He's a big orange monster
What's
with
he?
googly eyes.
He's
and
a gritty.
Okay.
Little.
The Florida lead.
What do you think of Owen's bracket? Do you remember it?
It's hopeful.
Podcast listeners, episode 39, Bread Loves Hockey Podcast. Dean, Bread, playoffs officially underway. We were recording right after the regular season ended last week, or for last week's episode. So we've now watched playoff games, and it's been pretty good.
Yeah, hockey's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is what I've been looking forward to, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It is, it's fun to have skin in the game, too. Obviously, both of us do. But there's also, like, the 1 year that Vegas didn't make it, which I know sounds, like, so pretentious, I guess, as a Vegas fan, but it's truth. It was, like, there was kind of, like, some peace, like, knowing that you're watching all the series with, like, not the same investment. Like, whatever happens, it's not really that big a deal because it's not my team, so...
I mean, you can still just do that when your team's in, and just the other night they're not playing, you still get the benefit of watching less stressful hockey.
That's definitely true. But, yeah.
So you want to just run through all the series?
Yeah, I'll give the updates. We're recording on Thursday, so I think the most games that have been played are 3 game 3s. No game 4s yet.
Right.
Yeah, Dean, you want to just quickly rip through the series standings?
Put me on the spot. I don't have all those in front of me.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Well.
Okay, so it's 2-0 Carolina. I think they're playing game 3 right now, actually. They just started. 2-0 Florida over Tampa. That game is also underway. Panthers up 1-0. The Boston Toronto series is a 2-1 Boston lead after a away game win for Boston last night. And
nothing controversial about that
no,
one. We'll get to that.
No, nothing. And the Rangers have a 2-0 series lead heading into Washington for game 3. We head over to the West, and it is Vegas with a 2-0 lead heading into Vegas for Friday, I believe. I think they
also zero controversy there.
Nothing going on there over Dallas. The series is tied in Colorado and Winnipeg, heading into Colorado 1-1. The Vancouver-Nashville series is also 1-1, heading into Nashville for Game 3, I believe, tomorrow. Yes. Okay, so yeah, and Vegas plays on Saturday, not Friday. And the final series, Oilers versus Kings, is also 1-1. Kings tied the series up with an overtime winner last night.
Yeah, who would have thought? I guess we can just start with that series. After the first game with McDavid getting 5 assists, they're like, oh, if they keep playing like this, it's over for the Kings. Even if they play half as good as that, it's over for the Kings. But
yep.
Good bounce back win for the Kings, overtime winner, like you said.
Been a high scoring series.
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of that because it's happens even later for you. But
yeah, it's later for me. I was watching some of it after the Vegas game ended last night, but it was around like 1 o'clock, and it was looking like it was going to head into overtime, and I just didn't want to make that commitment because I'm like, I'm still working tomorrow, so I'm like, yeah, I'm not staying up for that. But
yeah.
It was tied with like 7 minutes left, 4-4. Like, all right, we'll see. Feels like either like I didn't really know who was gonna honestly come out with it because the Kings had a much better performance, and they did end up winning with the Kopitar goal in OT. But I was like, well, it's still the Oilers, and like they already shown that they're for real this year, so it's gonna be interesting going into LA now, which I think they've had a pretty good home record this year. So that should
You
be fun.
still think the Oilers come out of this series?
You know, history really makes me believe that they will. You know, they've been on the ropes. Like, I think they've had this situation I think they were 1-1 in both of the past two series going into Game 3. I think. I don't know for sure, but I think that they were. And it's just like they keep finding ways to win. I think one of them was a 6-game series and one of them was a 7-game series. So they both went, pretty far down to the wire.
Yeah, and I thought this one would not. Like, I thought this would be the year where it's just an easy first round matchup. But we will see. And it's funny because I know Edmonton fans, some of them were like, had wanted Vegas in the first round.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like
they might have changed their mind after watching that series.
Yeah. It's like if you wanted Vegas and you guys are struggling to beat LA, I mean, like, technically LA was this higher seeded team, but I think most people know what Vegas is capable of at, their healthiest and full potential, which they basically are now, is a better team than Los Angeles. So, yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny. I don't think I want the Kings to win though, because I just would rather see McDavid go further, and obviously I have him and his team go into the finals in my brackets, both of them. So, yeah, personally, still rooting for Edmonton.
Yeah, I think Edmonton, if like Stuart Skinner can play just a little, I think it's like locked up. He had, was it last night? Yeah, he had an 808 save percentage, and then an 892 in the other game because he still allowed 4 when they won 7-4. I mean, the Oilers can win 7-4 games like this whole series. I guess
maybe in the first round, but that's like,
yeah.
Are you gonna be able to do that all the way through?
9 goals every 2 games and get to and win the cup?
No. Not today. I really don't not in today's NHL. There's too many strong defensive teams, and like all the players block shots, and so yeah, that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, again, I haven't watched a ton of this series, but so I don't know how much is on Skinner versus the defense, but yeah, I don't know. I think either way, they need to let less goals in the net is what I would tell them if I were their coach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's been some defensive lapses. I also haven't seen much of this series. I've seen some highlights and things, but nothing in depth. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if LA wins this game, especially if it's a close game. It's suddenly, Edmonton's looking not so good. So yeah, Game 3 is going to be a pivotal one, and then Game 5 will obviously be huge. So we'll check in next week. We're gonna. I don't know when potentially the first series could be over. Probably be at least Monday, I would think.
Well,
the Panthers play on Saturday.
No, Rangers Caps Game 4 is Sunday.
Yeah, so if the Panthers win tonight and then win on Saturday, they would already be on.
Yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, and Carolina. So
yeah,
Saturday or Sunday.
Oh, and the Canes scored. Brent Burns.
All right. Well, how about we talk about a series that you have seen a little bit of, the Golden Knights versus the Stars. And first off, do you want to say anything to the Mark Stone Golden Knights haters out there?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say something.
You say suck it and move on.
Well, I certainly could, and I'd feel pretty good about it too. Just it's tough. Just as a fan of the Golden Knights that just wants to enjoy the team, but you just constantly see all this this negativity online about them, and like I get it. There's probably a big part of me that if I was not a fan of the team and I just like decided I'm gonna be a Buffalo fan or whatever, because I'm like close to the area, like if I rooted for the Islanders or the Rangers or whatever, and I just saw immediately how good that they were, and all the stuff that they do and how aggressive they are. Like I'm sure there'd be a big part of me that wouldn't like them, but. Anyways, so about the actual, how he's playing and how he's looked with the whole lacerated spleen and look how quickly he recovered from, the end of the regular season to the start of the playoffs. Like, I get it, and I'm not really that surprised about the skepticism. All I can say to that is that everything that like Kelly McCrimmon and Bill Daly and the league and insiders, Jesse Granger, like have to say about the ongoings as far as dealing with the verifying that he's actually injured and can't play is like everything's legitimate as far as that's concerned with like scans and things. But
Yeah, I mean the league looks into it. Like it's not like you can just say, like, oh, Marchand or whoever, like you have a cold, we're gonna put you on LTIR for the last, or like from trade deadline till the end of the year or whatever. Like the league does look at these things. It's just obviously hard because how do you prove that someone, like you can prove that they're not 100%, but if they're like healthy enough to play hockey or not is like a fine line. You can't tell Mark Stone that he's healthy enough to play and make him play. Like
yeah,
it's a
which
tough thing to work through.
yeah, and that's kind of probably at the core of, other than being upset with how the system rewards, the teams that use this LTIR. But other than those concerns, it's that they believe that Stone was purposely like holding himself out after he was medically deemed, fit to potentially play. Like he was still, holding out until the playoffs or whatever. And I guess I can't say for sure that he would do that, but I mean, like as the captain of the team and as a hockey player in general, who they all want to play, especially if they're able to go. So I just find that a little bit unlikely.
My take on it is it was a real injury. Like it wasn't just a fake made up thing. And he was injured for whatever month or however long. He was healthy enough to probably come back before game 1 of the playoffs. Like he could have played in game 82 or 81 or 80 or whatever. Like he could have, and even now, like he's probably close to 100%, but I'm sure he still like has lingering whatever. But yeah, it's just this fine line. It's the game you play because it's in the rules. And I think Elliot mentioned this on the 32 Thoughts podcast that like we'll see in I think 2 years when the new CBA gets written or whatever you want to say, like how much GMs really care or think that this is an issue or not. Like until then, we just have to wait because it can't get changed now. But when it comes up, we'll see if it's something that the league cares about or maybe it's just gonna stay how it is. But obviously, lots of fans are upset. I mean, Vegas has always been a fan overall hated team since the first year when they just were good right away. So it's easy for it, like since it's that team, it's easy to just kind of pile on.
Yeah, and definitely some Vegas fans try to argue that we aren't the only teams that are doing it. Obviously, they're the ones doing it like the most efficiently. Like they know exactly how to manipulate the system. So there's like complaints about that. But yeah, Tampa Bay's used it to win cups. Chicago did. We've heard. I'm sure you've heard some of these arguments before.
I think when Chicago did it with Patrick Kane, like most people in the league around the league were like, wow, that's clever, like that's smart, because they were the first ones to do it. And it's like obviously Kucher, like since Tampa won the cup that year, it's like got a lot of hate because like, well, you won the cup, but you're whatever million over the cap. Like they had the T-shirts and everything. And
yeah.
So I mean, yeah, especially Vegas, the 4th seed playing Dallas. Dallas fans feel like they won their conference and they get rewarded with Vegas as opposed to like the Rangers win theirs and they get to play the minus 37 caps. So like I understand, like I feel for Dallas fans. Especially seeing Mark Stone come out and score in the first couple
Literally
minutes.
the first goal of the series. He scored with like it was like 2.5 minutes into the game or something like that. Which yeah, and in Dallas too, which is like, oh man, they have been booing him a lot, and
Yeah.
and Sagan, I saw like after game two, he said something along the lines. He's like, when as like a fan or a player in an away barn, like you kind of get a little bit fueled by the booze sometimes. Like I kind of wish that we weren't like our fans weren't booing him.
Interesting.
Like and somebody in the replies is like, maybe we just need to boo Sagan to get him to play well, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a divisive series, especially amongst Stars fans who are upset with how things are going, how they've shaken out. Um, it's been fun. It's been tight. Both games have been close. One goal game in game one, and then essentially a one goal game with the empty netter in game two, just last night. So, Logan Thompson, I thought, has been solid. Ottinger has been pretty good, but just not doing quite enough. It's like
Yeah.
it's tough. It's a tough little spot.
And besides Stone, Eichel's having a good playoffs. I saw the stat. He's got 30 points in 24 playoff games.
Yeah, so because last year was his first time in the playoffs. So
Yeah.
he is definitely a playoff performer, which a lot of Buffalo fans were like, "Oh, wait till you see his effort in the playoffs." Or I was like, maybe it wasn't
And
him
that
that
he's
was
a
the
locker room
problem.
cancer.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's been fun. It's been enjoyable to see them do well on the road, which I was worried about because like it's not like I thought, oh, we're definitely gonna win. I mean, we were the wild card too in the West for a reason. We've had struggles this year with closing out games that we should have won. Um, and there was uncertainty with everybody coming back right at the end. Like Carrier hadn't played in a while. Obviously, Stone hadn't either. So you don't really know exactly how everything's gonna gel, but they've found a way. Very deep team, obviously.
Yeah. I feel like less non-Vegas fans are not surprised that you're magically a lot better now that you have all these players healthy.
Right, right. I mean, I was hoping that would be the case because I know what the potential is with those players that were out and what could be, I guess, as far as
As
like
a
with
fan,
the
you're cautiously
with hurdle.
optimistic.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
but
how
you never
I
want to
feel like
be
when you're
too
watching a
careful.
game and you're up by a goal, you're like, oh no, they're gonna tie it, they're gonna tie it. But like when the other team's up by a goal late, you're like, well, there's like it's over. Like we can't get this. Like
Definitely, that's how I felt watching the game last night until they finally got the empty netter. I was like, they had that one goal lead for I don't know exactly how long, maybe like 10 minutes or something like that, and you just don't know. You're like, oh man, I just feel something in the air. Like, especially the
yeah,
worst is when like they're dominating the period, but then like down like the other team will get like one or two chances in their O zone, and suddenly you're like, oh crap, like my goaltender hasn't faced nearly any shots this period. Like something's just gonna squeak in because that's the ice tilt. That's how it goes, especially on the road. They get like the home crowd gets any chance for momentum. Like oh, we're finally in the O zone. Like we gotta cheer like as loud as possible. Get these guys like come on, do something. Come on. And sometimes it
yeah.
works. They just like will the play into existence.
hmm You got anything else on the Vegas series?
No, I'm looking forward to going home and having the chance to lock it up. You know, nobody was really picking this one to be a short series. Um, especially going for Vegas. Like I think one analyst writer for ESPN had a 4-0 sweep for Dallas. I was like, wow, okay, that's a bit bold, but yeah, I think a lot of people were expecting 6-7 at minimum. So if this does get close, it'll be quite a shock. Although last year they went up 3-0 and ended up going to Game 6. So I'm not counting these guys out. I'm not gonna say Vegas wins, Vegas clears Dallas. Like,
Vegas sweep. You heard it here first, folks.
yeah, you heard it from him. You heard it from him. I will not underestimate the Stars until the series is over. So,
They're the cup-winning team, according to you.
yeah, according to my preseason bracket, but I did change it.
Who'd you have in your actual bracket?
Well, I had one that was the Rangers and one that was the Oilers, but the Rangers was the one I went with first.
Gotcha.
So I go with that one, and that one I did have Dallas winning against Vegas. So we'll see. Let's move on to we'll do the Vancouver-Nashville series.
Good first game for Vancouver with a 4-2 win. I feel like both these games, the Predators, Vancouver had outgated them, and the Preds have stayed in it by just diving in front of every single shot. I think it was the game 2 where they had 30-something blocked shots, which is insane.
Yeah, and the shot attempts were like way skewed towards Vancouver.
Yeah, but like you can't survive a whole series just blocking shots. Like eventually you'll either get fatigued or you'll get hit in the wrist or whatever and like have injuries. But I mean, the biggest news coming out of this series is that Thatcher Demko's day to day. So
that changes things a lot.
For Vancouver fans.
And I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like the last 4 Vancouver playoff runs they've had a goalie get injured.
Yeah, they lost Schneider in 2013, Miller in 2015, Markstrom in 2020, and now Demko this year.
Yeah. I mean, it. That somebody was like, they haven't been. Oh no, this was about Dallas. I was gonna say the voodoo curse from the Flames. I was thinking that I was mixing it up with the Vancouver one, but yeah. So DeSmith played game 2 and lost. That was only his second playoff game after his first one being that triple overtime game against the Rangers where he ended up getting injured and then Domingue had to go in.
Let me say that the Preds had 4 goals on 16 shots that game. But also, the Preds won 4-1. The Canucks aren't going to win many games with 1 goal, whether they have Demko in or not.
Yeah.
Again, I think it was that game. Like I said, they had 18 shots, but the shot attempts were insane. Like, it was just all the shots getting blocked by the Preds.
Yep. I was going to say, the Predators have scored first in both of the games, which I think is telling a bit. They've been able to control the pace. So I think if they can score first at home for game 3, that will go like a really long way, because like Nashville especially, like that crowd goes bonkers during the regular season, and then they really do turn it up in the playoffs. Like, I don't really like Nashville. I think they're kind of obnoxious sometimes, but especially the yellow is just not a
Nashville.
Yeah, all that jazz. It's just not for me, but I do think they know how to like really juice up the team. So
yeah,
that's why I picked them. Honestly, is I thought they would probably be able to split the first series at home, and then ride the wave at home for games 3 and 4, which are pretty crucial. So that's where my head was at, and I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I feel pretty good about it, especially unfortunately with the whole Demko injury. That's not how you want it to go, like, but that's what they're gonna have to battle through.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough.
Yeah, I think originally he was week to week, and I think now it's day to day, maybe. So it's a little better. I also don't know if you've seen this is the second time I've seen this joke, but when they announced the injury, it's like they're doing the reverse Vegas.
Reverse Vegas.
He plays all year and then out
That's
for
tough.
the playoffs. Well, the other one I heard that like saw that comment on Reddit for was Nylander, because Nylander played all 82 regular season games and hasn't played a playoff game. So,
Yeah. Something
it'll
like
reverse
head
Vegas.
injuries, like concussion related potentially.
Yeah, I don't
I don't
know
know.
because I heard that like he was skating and he didn't look good skating. Like he looked injured skating, but that's just what I heard. I didn't see it, so I
I
don't
heard it
know.
was like something to do with migraines related to to concussion maybe. Is the
Mhm.
latest that I've heard. I haven't seen anything like official. I don't know. I mean, it's probably just like reports, but um, yeah, we'll jump back to that one
And the
when we
other
get
thing,
over to the
well,
East.
another article I saw on Demco says not likely back until conference finals.
Oh,
That was 8 hours ago.
so timetable is uncertain at this time.
Uncertain. Some feel he can play late in round two.
Yeah, it's like they're gonna need him to get to round two.
Hmm.
I think. I mean, again, it's tied. It's a tight series, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be tight.
Hmm. And while we're talking about goaltending, how about the Avs Jets series? Game one, 7-6.
Lack of.
Lack of.
I
I
think
mean,
I think they said that 7-6 that 7-6 score was the first time in like regulation that play that has happened in the playoffs and like either ever or like since the 40s or something like that. I can't remember.
sounds
But
about right.
yeah, that's a crazy first game.
Yeah, in game one, the story was Georgiev because he allowed 7 goals on 23 shots. Um, and based off my calculations, that is not great.
Yeah. Let me check the oh, yeah, not good.
Yeah. Especially when, as a team, you can put up 6 goals on probably the Vesna winning goaltender this year, you would think. Um, you would hope that you can win that game. The Avs
Yeah.
had 46 shots. Um, but yeah, not great. But then in game two, Georgiev had a good game because their normal backup is sick, right?
Oh,
And their
Annanen.
current, yeah, their current backup who's been dressing for them has never played an NHL game. So they really didn't have an option but to go back to Georgiev, and he only allowed 2 goals on 30 shots. So much better. But again, the Avs put up 5 on Hellebuck. So now the story is, what's with Hellebuck? Why is he not playing well? Like, did they ride him too hard in Winnipeg during the regular season, and like he's just gassed at this point, or what? Or if he just can't perform in the playoffs? But series are tied 1-1. We'll see. Game three is tomorrow.
Have you
Yeah.
decided if you're gonna go to either of the games in Denver?
Um, Sunday I actually have hockey, so I won't be going. So I guess that would
You could
only.
skip it for a playoff game though if you
That's
really
true.
wanted to.
I guess that would leave tomorrow night. So still time to decide.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just roll up last minute and get some really cheap tickets.
What do you have to lose?
Yeah. Um,
We'll check
I
in
don't really
next
have
week.
much to say on the series other than it's been a good series. Like out of any other non-Bruin series that like I've wanted to watch the most, it's either been this one or the Florida Panthers or Panthers
The Battle of
Tampa.
Florida.
Florida Tampa.
Yeah.
However you want to say it. Do you have any other thoughts on this series before we move on?
Um, I definitely thought that the Jets had the upper hand with the goalie tandem going into this series. I don't know. I guess it's in question now, and now that they're going to Colorado, like the Jets are gonna have to at least win one of these, I think, in order to have a real chance. Because yeah, I mean you can't joke about the Avs, like as far as how skilled they are, like the whole roster, especially with some of the trade deadline acquisitions seem to be panning out. Casey Middlestat got his first playoff goal finally after some misery in Buffalo for a while. So good to see them get freed. But yeah, I'm still pulling for the Jets, but we'll see what Colorado manages to do here in the next little bit.
I feel like the Avs are one of those teams that can just like turn it on. Like I've seen it in the regular season this year where they're just kind of not going 100% and then they're down by a couple of goals. Like, all right, let's start trying, and they just like
Yeah.
turn it around. So
Which has got to be
that's
kind of
scary. Those types
frustrating
of teams. It's
as
also
an Avs
frustrating
fan.
for sure.
Like,
Why
oh
don't you
my
do this all the
God,
time?
just play like you're losing all the time.
Yeah.
You know, but
Doesn't work like
just
that.
not how people work. You know, you forget they're people. They're a group of people. They don't always gel together. It's like there's so many different little factors other than skill and coaching and whatever. So you gotta have just the right formula. We'll move out to the East. Dean, you want to just get the Bruins series out of the way?
I was gonna save it for last because I have many things to say.
Great. Let's save it for last. We'll talk about the least interesting series, the Islanders Hurricane series.
Oh,
I think it's the least interesting
I was gonna
because
say the Caps, but we
the
can go with
Caps
the
one
Islanders.
has some controversy to it, I guess, with the Panarin hit. So I feel like
That's true.
the Islanders one is less interesting. It's just like the Islanders getting in their own way. They lost a close one in game 2 where they were up 3-0 and then lost 5-3. And the first game, what was the score for that first game? Was that one a 1-goal game too?
3-1.
3-1. Okay. Oh, empty netter, yeah. So that one was a close one too. They just, I don't know. It doesn't seem like they have the formula right now, but they're playing at home for the first time right now. They are losing 2-0 heading into intermission, so that's a bummer.
I mean, both the first two games, like you could argue that the Islanders had the chance to steal it because it was 1-1 going into the third in game 1, and then
Yeah.
obviously the whole meltdown in game 2 where they were up by 3. And let's see, when was that?
Yeah, doing that on the road when you could have
3-0.
stolen that game.
It was
That's
3-0,
deflating.
4 minutes into the second. And then 3-1 going to the third. And then halfway through the third is when the Carolina scored their second. And then they scored 3 goals in 90 seconds, I believe. One was an empty net. But, yeah, won that 5-3. So that's one of those games where I'm like, you don't bounce back from that.
Yeah, it's just so deflating. And you put so much pressure on that game 3 now because you're like, this is it. Like, we need this game to get something going, and if we don't get it, if we get out to a rough start and we let in a bad goal early on, I don't know how the goal for that opened the scoring of the game was, but yeah, you just don't have it. So we'll see if they have any spark from Sparky the Dragon to boost them into a win here.
Well, I just watched the first goal, and it was a not very fast shot from the blue line.
No, they're done. That's it. Yeah.
That
Sorokin starting
2.
tonight.
Second one was in the slot. That one's the harder. That's just terrible defense by the Islanders.
Yeah.
But that first goal was not very good.
Varlamov started the first 2 games of the series because he was the hot goaltender in the regular season that got him
Again,
in.
you trust Patrick Waugh's goaltender judgment.
Yeah, I think you do. I think you do.
That's what they went with. But yeah, at this point, even if it wasn't Varlamov's fault. Like you got to make a change and see what happens.
Yep. Now's the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they need to score goals. They are not scoring goals right now, so
Yeah,
that's the
it's
difference
weird.
maker.
Who would have thought that the team that got into the playoffs from their overtime, which I'm hypocritical saying that as a Bruins fan,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
who would have
Well,
thought that this team that got all their loser points can't win games when it matters?
right. And we're seeing the same thing with the Washington Capitals, who are also down 0-2 against the Rangers. That series hasn't been super close. I think Game 2 was closer.
Yeah, Game 1 was a
But it was too
4-1 game. Washington scored in the when it was already a 3-0 game, so it was
garbage
kind of
time.
well, it was still in the second, like halfway through the second, but like so maybe a little bit of hope there, but yeah, it didn't come to fruition. Obviously,
It's been brutal. We've
But
been getting
then
the updates from Sam, obviously.
Game 2 they only lost 4-3.
Yeah, so that's
I'm not-
the worst. Is like how close you were to potentially stealing a game on the road.
They
Same
scored
thing with the
first.
Islanders. Yeah, they did. They opened. Yeah, wasn't that Ovi's goal?
It was Connor McMichaels.
Oh, McMichael.
Oh, the other thing we should mention is Ovi was held without a shot in Game 1 for the first time in his playoff career, which is like since. Well, I thought the stat said since 2018, but I feel like he was in the playoffs before 2018. So maybe.
Definitely, he was in the playoffs before 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I've heard two different things.
Either way, that's not good. Like these Washington Capitals are not going to be winning if Ovi is not shooting the puck. Like
For just the fourth time in his career.
fourth
But,
time.
Yeah, okay, so that's what it was. So the fourth time in his career, the last time was in 2018, but obviously those weren't. Are these are these all playoff games? Because this is May, so it must be.
Yeah. And they won the cup that year anyways, so.
True.
Huh?
He had 7 shot attempts in that game.
Damn. 7 shot attempts, no shots on goal.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't have much to say on this series other than it's not close. And I think you did. Did you end up filling out the whatever international hockey competition? Because I know my dad had the same issue because he did it on his phone, but ended
Yeah.
up submitting. But one of the questions on that was basically, which team do you think is most likely to not make it to the second round? And I feel like most people said the Caps, but I said the Islanders. So I'm hoping to get the win there. 'Cause I don't know. I feel like the Caps are more likely to win a game than the Islanders. But Zach Spears, I know, disagrees with me on that.
I'm trying to
I think
remember
both
which
might get
series
swept.
trying to remember which series I picked. It probably was Washington. I was probably like, you know what? Don't try to overthink this. Just say the one that's the worst team, and I think that's what I did. So we'll see if that pays off. But yeah, not a lot. There was the Panarin hit on Oshie, which he hit him in the head. I don't remember. Was it with his arm? I think.
No, it was like his back. He kind of he raised up, but his back went into his head.
That did not get called, and they reviewed it. Well, reviewed it, but not really. For according to Sam, not for more than 2 seconds, and then there was no penalty, and they called a penalty on Washington.
Right, and no player safety hearing or anything for him either.
Yeah.
I know I mean it's a tough call because the contact seems to the head, but I'd have to watch it again because at first it looks bad, but I know some people are saying it's not as bad as it looks. I think again Elliot on 32 Thoughts that it was the right call, but I haven't seen it since it happened. I'm gonna pull it up again.
And everything's heavily scrutinized in the playoffs too. Like
Right.
anything questionable, your whole fan base is gonna leech onto that because like if your team's not performing, you better hope that they're being treated unfairly because otherwise it's like this team just sucks and you can't accept that. So
Yeah, so he kind of like backs into him, and like he kind of lifts as he does it, but the initial point of contact is it's like I should just take a screenshot of this and put it on the
like
pod, but like his whole back is angled like this, and it's up against Oshi's full chest and face. It's like not straight to the head. Yeah, I'll do.
let
it.
you fans make the determination for yourself what you think.
Yeah,
I
I'll put in
haven't
the
seen it enough
Discord
times to really
chat.
have an opinion.
If you look at this picture, and he's not
That's-
coming like from the side. He's going like directly into like he's backing into him.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying in that, you know,
Like it's not
it's not
like
where
as
he was
black and white as
angling himself.
some people make it sound like it's egregious and like how they not get a penalty, suspended, blah blah blah. But like I don't know. If those players had watched the Boston Toronto series, they would have thought that was nothing.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We got one more Eastern one to talk about beforehand
Battle of Florida,
going on right now.
both
Florida,
games
they're just finding
3-2.
ways to win.
Second game in overtime.
And who
And
who
right now
else?
they're actually down 2-1 though.
Oh, really?
Yep. It was 1-0, and I saw Tampa had a goal taken off the board. But,
Tampa did?
yep. And then, but you got Stamkos and Tyler Mott scoring 2 minutes apart at
Wow.
the start of the second. It's been a good pep talk in the locker room there.
Mm.
But yeah, good series. Like I said, very close. Um, You had Verhage scoring the OT winner, and I don't know, did you see his like overtime stats?
He has like 5 playoff overtime game winners,
Yeah, so it's his
which is
fifth
insane.
career playoff overtime winner. He's now third all time, tied with Glenn Anderson and one behind Rocket Richard. And Sakic has 8 for first place. And the crazy thing is, um, for overtime playoff games played, Sakic played 44, Richard 29, Anderson 38, Perry 47, Kane 40, Verhage 14.
Oh my
So
god.
he has 5 overtime winners in 14 overtime games.
That's
He's played like
nasty.
40 something playoff games in general. So it's just like insane.
That's wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Um Good, obviously Florida fans love having him there and he
Yeah.
he, he was a former Tampa Bay Lightning player too, so both teams very familiar with Verhage and how much of an asset he is. It's been an enjoyable series. I haven't really watched as much of it as I'd like to, though. I just haven't been able to catch everything.
It's funny when I've been watching, it's like as much as I hate the Panthers, for obvious reasons, um, I also apparently hate Tampa more because I've been rooting for the Panthers in this series,
Oh
like
yeah, I'm definitely rooting for the
consciously.
Panthers too.
But I mean, I guess it's just because you have one team that hasn't won the cup in ever, right?
Yeah, never won 2
And then
finals,
Tampa, who
no
had
wins.
the whole thing.
They've went three
Cap
for five.
circumvention.
They've been to
No, we
5
talked about it.
finals and won 3 of them,
Yeah.
which that's
Seen enough of
that's
that.
pretty good. They're like one of the most successful like NHL franchises ever, in my opinion. I don't think that's a very controversial take, but yeah, it's
I mean, I guess I haven't really thought about it, but yeah, I guess like as far as
success
yeah,
over like
success
the
in
whole
such a short
franchise
amount of
history.
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
because
like
like
there's teams with more cup wins, but they've been since the 1920s. So it's
yeah,
like,
like like really Montreal. Yeah, they have the most cup wins, but they've also been in the league the longest.
mhm.
So
They've
it's
been
like
bad for long stretches. Even the Bruins have had like rough periods of time.
yeah, I mean like the Habs also did win like 5 cups in a row once and like 4 in another part. So it's like, I guess however much you weigh dynasties like that. But anyways, yeah, good series. I hope Florida comes out with the win because I don't want to see any more Tampa Bay. Yeah. I'm just like you people. I hate a team too, a team everybody else doesn't like.
Yeah. Do you know what team you also probably hate? The Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yes, I do.
And what a series it's been.
What a
Lots to
series.
talk about, but I'm just going to start by running down the scores real quick. Game 1, fantastic game. 5-1 win. John Beecher opening the scoring.
Naturally.
Love it. And that game was also like closer than you would think. I mean, both teams hit a lot of posts, but I know Toronto hit at least 3, like in the first, I think. And it was just kind of everything was going Boston's way, like every scoring chance went in, kind of thing. And then game 2, the Leafs won 3-2, and I would argue that they could have won by more. That was like they seemed to be outskating the Bruins for the majority of that game.
Yeah.
And last night, Bruins won 4-2, and lots of controversy in that game. Reffing wise, the refs seemed to just let them play. There was for the Bruins' first goal, Trent Frederick scored, and during that play, Bertuzzi and Marchand were tied up, and so first Bertuzzi kind of grabbed Marchand's stick and like fell over on it, so like pulled Marchand down. They both get back up. Marchand puts his stick in Bertuzzi's skates and trips him. And then while all this is going on, Frederick's just skating the puck down the wing. The defense is giving him space. This whole series has been so messy. Like I feel like the puck has not stayed in like one team's possession for more than like 10 seconds at a time. I feel like if you just like glance at the TV, the puck's like in a neutral zone, just like a loose puck or along the boards. Like both teams are playing such tight defense where there's just no space. It just gets taken away so quick.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, Frederick looked up and he's like, "I got space to skate in and shoot." And I don't know if Samsonov was just like watching what was happening with Marchand and Bertuzzi, but he let in one that he should not have let in.
That was a stinker. Oh, man.
And then there was 1-1, and the fans in Toronto were not happy.
No, they were not.
And so you could argue, there's a couple arguments you can make here. You could say that was a trip, it should get called, or you could say that it cancels out. They both should get penalties.
Play should have still been dead, though, if that's the case.
I was gonna say, if I were unbiased, I think I would agree with the take that you should send them both, and the whistle should have been blown no matter who has possession.
Yeah.
But the worst thing that went uncalled in that play was behind the net. McAvoy basically tackled Matthews.
Yeah. I mean, we're laughing because obviously we're rooting for the Bruins and they did not get called. But yeah.
Also, there were so many calls. Like the Bruins fans are mad at the refs. Toronto fans are obviously mad at the refs. There was a clear high stick that McAvoy took to the face that didn't get called.
Yeah.
Not even. Andy Brickley was complaining about the.
Oh yeah. They were like, "Oh my god, this is ridiculous."
He pointed this out. There was, I forget what the penalty was, but basically the Maple Leaf player went down, no hand went up, then the fans start booing like crazy, and then the arm goes up. So basically, he was arguing that like the refs are influenced by the crowd in Toronto.
Yeah.
But I think it was just so inconsistent. They were letting things go in the first, then in the third when McAvoy drew the hold at the end of the game. Like that's been happening all game. Yes, it was a hold. Like yes, that's a penalty that you can call, but like according to your threshold, it wasn't. But
and they scored on that power play to bring to get the lead too.
Well, yeah, because there's a minute left. So I mean, the Toronto already had their goalie pulled at that point, but then with the power play, it's like they still pulled their goalie, but it wasn't obviously as effective because they're killing a penalty. But the other thing I'll say, and some Leaf fans, not all of them are what should I say here? Not,
Tread lightly.
some Toronto fans are smarter than others, and we're pointing out that you can complain about the refs all you want, but they got 5 power plays and went 0 for 5.
Yeah.
So the refs didn't help them, but also the Leafs not
Didn't
scoring on a
help
power play.
themselves.
Yeah. So I'm like, if the Bruins had lost, I'd be pissed at the refs. I understand the Leafs fans being pissed at the refs. The other thing was after the game, Sheldon Keefe was talking about Marchand's play and doing the whole like gamesmanship thing where it's like, yeah, Marchand's just the best. He's the lead at not getting called, doing these dirty plays, and like he's just the best at it. We can't do anything about it. We just have to like.
We're just gonna
live
have
with
to
that.
adapt to
Like,
that, and
if only there was a referee that could help, or like,
yeah,
I'm not complaining about the refs.
Oh, if
like,
only there was some
I remember
way
when
we could combat the.
Boston played Carolina. I forget what year this was in the playoffs, and Brenda Moore went out and complaining about the refs. And the next game, it seemed like there were like way more calls, like not necessarily going towards Carolina's way, but just like they were calling more things. I think one of them was like mentioning that Bergeron was cheating on the faceoffs, and he got thrown out like 10 times the next game or something. So like the refs definitely like it definitely makes them think and second guess some things. Like there's definitely gamesmanship going on there.
Yeah.
The other big storyline in this series has been the goaltending. Mentioned with Samsonov, Game 1 he was awful. Game 2 he played great. Game 3 that one goal he gave up to Frederick was
Awful.
terrible. Like any goalie should be able to save that.
Yeah, Steve Dangle said an ECHL goalie needs to make that save.
Yeah.
To give you a little perspective, I mean, obviously he's hyperbolizing a bit for dramatic effect, but I mean, he had direct eyesight. There was nobody screening him. It was like it was right on his blocker. Like I don't know. You just cut down the angle, but I'm not a goalie, so I can only chirp so much.
Yeah, and on the Boston side, both goaltenders have been great, but it's been a discussion of who you start. Game 1, I thought it was going to be Olmark because he had been the better goalie leading up to the playoffs, but Swayman's record versus Toronto, he was like 5-0-0 and like a 940 or 960, something crazy.
Yeah, it was like 949, I think, in the 4 games that he had played against Toronto that year.
So they did go with Swayman Game 1, and there was a whole discussion, who do you go with in Game 2? You've been rotating all year. Do you rotate? Do you stick with Swayman because he played so well? And they went with Olmark. That's the game they lost 3-2. Not Olmark's fault. There's like one goal that you're like, maybe I wish he could have gotten it, but it's not like something you expect him to save. It's just like if he could have gotten that, it would have been really good.
Yeah.
Really nice. And then they went back to Swayman Game 3. Another great game. Swayman had some crazy good saves in that game.
Yes,
and then,
he did.
Now the question is, what do you do for Game 4? Because, again, Swayman's been playing great. Is he playing great because he hates the Leafs? Or is he playing great because they're rotating and that's, like, he plays well, like, with an off night? So it's like, you just keep rotating and go to Game 7 and have Swayman win all his 4 games?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like I'm not playing unless my friend gets to play too. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, so we'll let Allmark lose 3 games, theoretically, and then they win in Game 7.
Mm-hmm. I was talking to Zach about this, and he's like, well, no matter what, the Leafs win Game 4. I'm like, well, if you think that, then put Allmark in, because if the Leafs beat Swayman, then that's kind of like a monkey off their back. Like they're like, we finally did it, and like if Swayman loses a game and you switch back to Olmark, it's almost like a morality boost for Toronto because they're like, we made them switch goalies, as opposed to this where it's going back and forth and like, oh, you get Swayman tonight, sucks for you guys, you can't beat him.
Right.
So, I said this before, but this is not. I do not want to be in Monty's shoes here. Like it's a tough decision, especially with what happened last year with him switching to Swayman late in the series. Like, lots of eyes on his goaltending decision making this series and potentially future series.
If they don't win this series, that's gonna be a lot of why people think that they lost. I think so. I mean, that would be my guess. So they got to make the right decision here, and then this is just the first round too.
Like I feel like as so far with 3 games in, most rational fans would say that like going with Ullmark wasn't the problem. Like like I said, it wasn't Ullmark's fault.
I
I mean,
don't
there'll
think
still
so
be
either.
Bruins fans that are like should have done Swayman. If we did Swayman 4 games, we win all 4 games.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so you'll never appease everyone. Um, and I
Allmark
guess
makes the team have a bad vibe. I
yeah,
think I saw something like that. I'm
it
like,
does honestly seem like the team plays better in front of Swayman
yeah.
for whatever reason.
It's like,
Um,
okay, sure.
yeah. Um, Other than that, DeBrusque's having a great series. 2 goals in the first game, a goal in the third game. I think he has 5 or 6 points now. And then Marchand started a little slow in the first 2 games, but scored the game-winning goal and the empty net last
Mm-hmm.
night. So if they can both stay hot, that looks really good. And then the other question, which we mentioned earlier, is Nylander. He played all 82 games in the regular season and then has been hurt. And game one, when he missed, Sheldon Keefe said he's more likely to be in game two than game one. And then game three said he's more likely to be in game three than game two. And it's like, it was
Okay.
also an uncertain timetable
Yeah.
for his return. But that'll be a big spark for Toronto, assuming they get him back.
Yeah.
But home ice goes back to Boston with the win last night.
Mm-hmm. So that's a big one.
Yep.
So
Um,
we'll see
and
how everything shakes out if Willie does end up playing. If things get close, if Toronto gets one here before going back to Boston, or if Boston could potentially close things out at home.
yeah, I felt good about game three. I was like, oh, again, Swayman back. We got this win. Um, and then game four, I'm more uncertain. I think they'll split it, but who knows? Um, and I guess the to wrap up playoff talk, right now we got the Panthers Lightning game tied 2-2 halfway through, and
Mm-hmm.
Hurricanes up 2-0 on the Islanders, just into the second period.
Womp womp.
Sorry, Zane.
It's been tough. He's been struggling.
Yeah.
We do want to touch on some injuries. Couple related to our team. So Andrew Peak was out for game 3.
Yeah, he
With
blocked
that
a
foot.
shot in in game two, and I guess you could also argue like we were playing with 5 defenders most of that game, so that maybe we could have won otherwise. But so he's for those who don't know who he is, don't blame you. He's been like a seventh team man, but he kind of earned a spot late in the season, so he's bottom like third pair defenseman. He's been playing good. He's been playing with Shattenkirk. Um,
He was a
but
deadline
yeah,
acquisition.
yeah, he was on Columbus, and like
Yeah.
Columbus didn't want him basically. Like he wasn't playing well in Columbus. I think we gave up more than we had to. I forget what round pick we gave up, but like we could have just probably gotten him for free. But anyway,
Yeah.
he got hurt blocking a shot. Waterspoon took his place, former Islander, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And his first shift in game three blocked a shot and went down and was
Yeah.
hurt. And I was like, no, but he ended up being okay. Um, and then the other changes, we brought Lorai in for Grizzlick, who was a rookie defender, who is kind of he can make good plays offensively, but is very scary defensively.
Mm.
I don't know if he plays. I think the playoff stage might be a little too much for him right
Yeah.
now. So we'll see what happens. And then JVR was also brought in for game three. Um, and
Which
he
he
was
had an impact. I
okay.
mean,
But
he had some
he
good
took
chances.
he took out Lauko, who is such like an energy guy. So I don't know. I mean, I guess we won, so I guess it worked. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, there were a few tweaks in the lineup to game three. Between one and two, there wasn't really anything. I think we just switched a defender on the first and second pair. We just like flipped them, which we had done like a couple minutes into game one anyway, so it wasn't really a change.
Yeah.
Um, and then did you already mention Haig or no?
I haven't yet. Yeah, Haig got injured in game 2, so he didn't play for game 3. or he won't be playing for Game 3. Um, he was replaced by Martinez. Oh, so no, he
I
got
know
hurt in
Martinez
Game
wasn't.
1, I think.
I assume Martinez was just like in your lineup.
Yeah, he has not had a great year this year. Like a lot of the fans have kind of not turned on him, but like lost some of that faith that we had. Like he wasn't the powerhouse on like the power play that he had been like a couple of seasons ago. He still blocks shots pretty well, but just hasn't been the same sort of player. So he's been healthy scratched I think a couple times, and then he did have some injury issues, but so he was on the IR for a little bit, but he's back now. Obviously, I don't think he had a bad game or anything for Game 2, so that's not super worrisome. I just would prefer to have Haig in there. So we'll see who slots in. If anything changes, maybe Hutton gets some more looks, or well, we've traded a couple of our defensemen now because we had Miramanov, and Pahal got claimed on waivers, both players in Calgary. So yeah, we'll see if anything else happens, but luckily that's all we have to talk about on the injury front for Vegas. It was good to keep it short.
Yeah. And then Sam Bennett was hurt. I don't know. I don't have an update on this, but I can.
Yeah, I didn't even see what the injury was.
Or the
for that
Panthers
one.
get good news on Sam Bennett.
Oh, good news.
Um,
I assume he's not playing tonight.
he expects Bennett to miss at least a week after he was struck by a Brandon Montour slap shot.
Oh, his own teammate.
Yeah, that's always tough. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the most common injury in the playoffs is blocked shots because you're blocking more shots too. Oh, the other thing about Lauko that I love, like energy guy, in the game 1 when it was 5-1, there were 3 seconds left. He dove to block a shot.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, yeah, like this guy should stay in the lineup.
I remember that. I was like, wow. Okay.
I saw it like, oh, don't get hurt. You don't need to do that.
Yeah,
I get if
definitely.
it was a shutout that you were trying to save, but you already allowed a goal. Like
Yeah.
like when I play in beer league, if we're up by like 2 or 3 in the third, I'm like, I'm just gonna put my stick out.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't need to get in the way.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
That's like a C coach, C sort of move.
Yeah. Like keep me in. And then Brett Pesci also hurt.
That's a bigger one.
Significant lower body injury will keep him out some time. So next few games, could possibly play through the injury, but he's likely to miss a few games. It's unclear when the injury occurred. But
That's not good.
yeah.
That's usually when there's like some mystery. It's like, all right, that means the timetable is uncertain.
Something.
And I
Islanders
mean,
Discord.
you could be looking past this series too already if you're a Kings fan. I mean, you don't want to count them out until they definitely won, but it's like, all right, if Pesci's going to be out for a while, that could impact, playing the Rangers in the second round. Or the Capitals, sure, whatever, fine. Come on.
Yeah.
People. Be realistic. Islanders did bring it within one, though. With
Pierre
Engvall.
Engvall, first of the playoffs for him.
Very nice. He's fit in pretty well after the trade from Toronto. So that's playoffs. That's our first playoff coverage here on the Red Loves Hockey podcast. Pretty.
By the time this
covering it.
podcast comes out, the series might be over. I don't know.
Could be.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'll push Brendan again to send me timestamps sooner rather than later. See. I don't know. As far as viewership goes, if Saturdays are better than Sundays or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I think our last episode did pretty well. I'm sure people were more interested in playoff coverage and stuff after,
I don't know,
'cause it's
32
sort of
whole
getting to a lull.
views.
How many?
32.
Oh, 32. That's actually pretty good. I mean,
And
yeah,
then
for us
as far
it's
as
good.
podcast episodes go,
Oh, we're looking at the rank.
oh, actually, that's pretty standard. We're like 10th or 11th. We have a lot of 32, 33, 34s.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah. Episode 2, 69 views.
Owen.
I know what happened the first four episodes we had the most views. Anyway,
We were riding the lightning.
yeah.
That's all
So
right.
yeah, that's playoffs.
Yeah. Um. Well, I'm just happy to be covering it finally. It's really,
Happy to be here.
yeah, happy to be here. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Hope to be here next week
Yeah,
on
hopefully.
the playoffs.
Hopefully Dean will be here next week. Um, PWHL news. There, a couple of teams have clinched playoffs. Montreal and Toronto are both in, so there's 2 spots left, and sadly, New York has been mathematically eliminated from playoff contention in the first season. So that's a bummer. We'll see if I think Boston is on the chopping block right now.
Oh, you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah. Still got a chance, although it's not looking good for them either because I think they're a couple points back and they've got 1 game in hand on, or they've played 1 more game than the other teams, I think. So we'll see how things go down the stretch. And then we'll be looking forward to playoffs for them too.
Yeah, it seems unlikely. I think the 4 teams are kind of already wrapped up, but we will see. I guess it would be
With all 3 of the Canadian teams making it, I'm sure that'll be exciting.
yeah. Yeah, Ottawa this is the article I read last week. Ottawa 7-0-6-6 and Boston 4-4-2-9. So
Yeah, 9 is that 9 is really the telling one there.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what happens there. They did just also announce their like awards that they're going to be doing, which they have named the 2 of the awards after founding members of the league. Billie Jean King Award, I believe that's for the regular season MVP, and then the Alana Kloss Award, playoff MVP award. So those are both members of the organization, or founders, I guess I think was the term. And then they have other ones like that are more normal. Forward of the year, defender of the year, goaltender of the year. I was kind of hoping that they would do like something that the NHL doesn't do, and that they separate like offensive forward and defensive forward, offensive defender, defensive defender, because that's
cool.
always like the storyline with the Norris is like they always seem to favor the offensively minded like defenseman. It's like that's
also
not really
how the
the
Selke
whole
always goes
part
to a
of it.
center, and even though there's good defensive wingers.
Yeah, also true. So
And the Hart always goes to a forward and not a goaltender or a defender.
Mm-hmm. We'll see how divisive the awards for the PWHL get. And Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, Community Leadership Award, Points Leader, and Top Goal Scorer. So those last 2, obviously, no voting on that. So that was announced today. Good that they're doing that. Yeah, again, we'll see if things change in the future, if they decide to do different types of awards for those, other types of defensive players like we mentioned, but still good. All right, so there's been some head coaching changes lately. One being Lindy Ruff officially rehired as coach of the Buffalo Sabres, who he had been the coach there for, I think it was like 13 or 16 years, something like that. Maybe it was around there. He was fired, I think, in 2013, and now he's officially back. I think a lot of Sabres fans are happy with this choice, especially ones that watched the teams that he coached back in the day. Like they kind of knew Granato wasn't going to be it, and when he got fired, it was kind of like, all right, there's 2 or 3 choices: Lindy, Gallant, and maybe Craig Berube. And I think Ruff sort of fits the best mold. Like he'll be able to get the most out of the players. Got that, veteran experience. I believe he was the one that took the Sabres to the final in '99, where they almost won against Dallas.
He was.
So, I think he brings a lot of pedigree, and he desperately wants to bring a championship to Buffalo, which is big.
Yeah, I think part of it is definitely some fanfare. Like, you do it kind of either bringing back old players into the front office or whatever, but like doing it with a coach, I guess, is also a possibility.
Get season ticket renewals.
Yeah. The other thing that was criticized is like how quickly they came to this decision, like how they didn't look around, didn't really weigh their options. Even if you were set on Lindy Ruff, you could like talk to other coaches to kind of just gain some knowledge. But the other side of this argument I heard was if you know you're going with Lindy Ruff, like don't waste people's time just interviewing them.
Yeah. You don't wanna be dicked around if you're one of these other coaches looking for a job, and you kind of go into the interview knowing that you're really not there to get the job, more or less.
Yeah, because some coaches that like are always interviewing with these teams and like never get the job, and they kind of know it at this point. Like I'm sure they're sick of that.
Yeah.
So, seems like they knew who they wanted, and they just went ahead and went through with it. So, like you said, fans seem happy about it, and I also don't know how many other potential coaches may have wanted to coach in Buffalo. Like I know there's other coaches available, like Woodcroft, right?
Yeah.
Or a couple coaches fired this year. So
yeah, there were, I think who was it that's keeping tabs? Maybe it's Saravelli. Was like 16 different coaches have been fired since the end of last regular season, which includes 2 for Columbus, technically, with Pascal or Brad Larson and
like Babcock.
Mike Babcock. Yeah, so
yeah, plenty to choose from.
lots of choices for recently fired coaches, which always seem to be the hot ticket items. They always, if they've already had any head coaching experience, those are the guys that get hired the most. So not surprised by the hiring, and I think it gives me a little bit of confidence. Obviously it's still early into the off season for the Sabres, but I'm sure that's a little bit of something to hang on to. Like, am I really gonna get my hopes up again with this team, especially after 13th season with no playoffs? But gotta hang on to something, I guess.
Yeah.
What else are you gonna do?
And before we mention the other coaching news, Zach Spears wants to hop on for a second and dunk on the Leaf.
Oh.
So we're gonna add him to the video call real quick.
Okay. Zach, welcome back.
You got the overlay set up already?
Yep.
Cool. All right, don't worry about it. No, the background in our videos.
Huh?
You know how we have a background in our video instead of just black, there's like that ice, like behind the
Has everybody's names and stuff
yeah.
on a YouTube video.
Yeah, I mean, I watch on YouTube usually, and I see your guys' usual background.
Yeah. So basically, he does that because right now on your screen you see black behind it. So he
okay.
to switch it because we were just a 2-person call, and then when 3 people show up,
Gotcha.
so
Change it.
that's all it was.
Did you have somebody on already?
Nope.
Welcome.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
So I just figured we'd give you the floor to discuss Bruins Leafs or whatever other playoff thing. We basically ran through all the series already, but and I talked about how whiny Toronto fans have been and how every call was the correct call and there was nothing wrong with the refs at all.
I don't
Um,
even want to. I don't even want to say a whole lot, to be honest with you.
all right,
Just
well,
I'm too scared. Too scared to chirp at 2-1.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I did give like not credit, but basically there were calls I'm like, yeah, like the refs should have called like the McAvoy pulling down
Yeah.
Matthews and
Well, the biggest thing was the McAvoy and the Marchand Bertuzzi scrum. Both happened concurrently almost as Frederick was skating up the ice to score
Yeah.
the worst goal of probably the playoffs as a whole.
Yeah, I think so.
well, I don't know, Georgiev I'm sure is letting some.
Yeah, that's
Some
true.
bad
There was
ones, yeah.
13
I
in
haven't
that
seen all of
first
them.
game.
But,
Yeah, I saw most of them. Yeah. But they could have very easily lost that game. Like, very easily. I think they try to sometimes.
Mm.
Yeah.
one thing-
But yeah, I
one-
said the same thing about the Bertuzzi thing. I'm like, it should have been blown dead. Like,
Yeah,
call it, take them
100%.
both off.
Yeah.
But and that's literally the difference in the game. If that happens, or if Toronto touches the puck earlier on that delayed penalty where they just stood behind the net for 30 seconds just to gain their 30-second power play. I was talking to you about it last night.
Yeah, that was big.
Yeah.
You never. I mean, it's such a small deal in the grand scheme of things until
Niche
it's
scenario,
not. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's smart. Delayed penalty while you're on the PK. Eat up
Right.
all of that
Exactly.
disadvantaged time until you get the advantage, or at least it's even. So yeah, that's
And 6-on-5 is so hard. There's no room. There's you know what I mean. You do see the empty net goals, but I mean if you put in perspective the empty net goals versus power play goals, that's the difference. There's so much more room. That's why anybody who anytime you can get a 4-on-3, you want a 4-on-3 over a 5-on-4. It's just because of the room out.
definitely.
You think Toronto's power play is gonna get any better this series?
I definitely do. I think that's the only thing they're doing for the next 2 days. They're probably holding 8-hour skates today and tomorrow, and they're just playing the power play.
1 for 11 on the power play for the series.
I mean, it might just be me being scared, but I feel like they haven't been as bad as that number actually is. The Bruins penalty kill is pretty solid, but they're still moving around. They're getting shots. I mean,
Posts
they're not
and
good.
stuff.
They're not good by any stretch of imagination, but they're not as bad as the Toronto media makes it out to be right now.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, special teams are the big thing going into this series, like, because our power play is terrible and their penalty kill is terrible. So, like, well, if we're gonna score power play goals, it's gonna be against a team like Toronto, and that's worked out better than I thought. Like, I thought we'd get a few, but we've had a really good power play.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably close to 50%, which is unbelievable.
I think they're 5 for 10. I think they are 50%.
That's unbelievable. They haven't scored 5 on the last 50 in the regular season, which is different.
Yeah, how about that? What a good time to turn things around.
Yeah, that's amazing. I did not expect it.
No.
At the end of the season, we were trying to decline penalties, Dean.
Yeah, right. Like, no thanks. We're good. It's only gonna do us harm.
We'll just make it 4-on-4.
Yeah, that's fine.
And the thing is, during the regular season, Toronto had like a 24% power play. They were, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were 7th in the league, and that was the other storyline, like a good power play versus a good penalty kill.
But I read something that said like since March 1st, they've been horrific. They were 29th or something. So that means imagine how good their percentage was between opening day and March 1st. They're probably 35 or 30. Right.
I saw Leaf fans complaining about that too, how it started getting bad at the end of the year and they didn't change anything.
No. Well, Nylander's not there anymore.
Yeah. Also,
He's-
they keep hitting, like, Matthews has hit like 5 posts this series.
Yeah,
That I agree.
One led to a goal.
So have we, though.
Bertuzzi hit a
We've hit a
post
lot
too,
of
I think.
posts.
And the post is still missing the net. Yeah.
Not a shot on goal.
Nope.
And one thing we didn't talk about was Max Domi with the poke on Swayman during the stoppage there.
Knocking him over, yeah.
Yeah. And
I didn't
that was
see it like
Maroon was
live.
all up in
Live, I
arms.
just saw him go down. And it
Oh,
looked
yeah.
bad when I just saw him flop. And then I saw the replay today, and I was like, that was nothing. Like, he literally, it was a poke. A poke was a perfect word for it.
Yeah, Nesson showed it, like coming back from commercial. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely clearly intentional, but
There was nothing there, dude.
No, I mean,
I-
it's just like one of those things. It's like you don't fuck with the goaltender.
Right.
Like it's not really like maybe they shouldn't have called it a penalty or anything, but like you don't do that.
I agree. They're just trying, they're doing anything they can.
Get under
You
the skin, yeah.
Can't blame them. But that was like,
Yeah, we're talking.
you
about
would have
Bruins.
thought he got shot from the 300s the way he dove. And I just saw, like I said, live, just saw the tail end. I was like, oh my God, what happened? Did he get him? And then, but I figured and then, they didn't show like many replays of it for me anyway.
Yeah, so
and
it can't be that bad.
Exactly. Yeah. And you would have thought Frederick or Maroon or somebody would have gone out there and done something stupid if it was that bad.
Maroon was trying to go after him, but the ref kind of held him back, so he didn't.
During the stoppage, or was it after?
Yeah, it was during the stoppage.
Really?
Yeah.
Ice Girls breaking up the fight. They were literally shoveling. You can see him going by in the background when he pokes him.
Oh, did you also see in game 1 when Maroon hit Liljegren into the bench? Lauko was like about to kind of like give him a jab or something, and Frederick had to hold him back.
Yeah, somebody took a swat at him. I mean, it wasn't aggressive, but
like, dude, what are you doing?
I think that Freddie's the one like, no, we don't do that. Like, that's how you get a penalty.
Somebody gave him a little swat. It wasn't a punch. It was a swat. Yeah.
The other thing I haven't loved is like you mentioned Swayman, but like I feel like a couple Bruins have been diving a little. Like, I mean, the McAvoy on the hold in the third, like he went down easy, and then I think it was game 2 when Bertuzzi slashed the back of Marchand's leg. I'm sure it hurts, but he went threw up like both legs. I think he grabbed the wrong.
Yeah, I
leg.
think he grabbed the wrong one.
There was
that.
nothing there. That was such.
But like Bertuzzi's been flopping all over the place too. Like it's gone both ways. But I'm like, I mean, I thought you're supposed to be tough and like you're jabbing at each other. You can't just like then all of a sudden also just be diving to try to draw calls. Like,
I know they're gonna get there will. If you can find somewhere to bet this, Dean, bet it. There will be an embellishment call on somebody in game 4.
Yeah,
somebody's getting an embellishment call.
There was one game that had an embellishment call. I thought it was yesterday. I can't remember what game it was. Maybe it was it might have been the Vegas game. I think a Dallas player got an embellishment call.
I don't know how you stay awake for those. I try. I
haven't fallen asleep.
That was a 9:30
yet.
Start.
Yeah, they're both. These ones are both 9:30s. I think the one in Vegas is going to be at 10 o'clock, which is going to be a little bit tougher.
I mean,
but
you could stay up that late if it was the Bruins.
Yes, I can, but yeah,
it would help your heart rate a little.
Yeah, Heiskanen with the embellishment on a hook.
Really?
So they are calling it at least once.
Yeah, I think the ref in game 4 is going to be interesting because I don't know if you saw like Sheldon Keefe's post-game press conference talking about Marchand. Brendan and I already discussed this, but like it's just kind of like the gamesmanship thing where you complain about the refs. Like Brendan Moore did that in that Bruins series years ago, and I was telling Brendan how like Bergeron got kicked out of all these face-offs because Brendan Moore mentioned how they were cheating on the dot and all that sort of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. That made me mad. Now I'm triggered. But it's the same thing Berube did in 2019.
Exactly.
Remember?
That That's the
And
one
then
that's the one that
Yeah, there we
triggered
go.
me because
we don't need to
I was
go
like
into it.
I was like there was
but-
another one that was bigger than this I can't remember, and yeah we're not even into the whole Corrali thing, but like yeah the
It was
refing.
Atari there. I'm watching the Islanders Hurricanes game, and all I can see is that play from 2019 happening right now.
Yeah. But yeah, that whole you can definitely influence the refs. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I
And I think
watched.
I think Elliot Friedman was saying this that basically after I think it's every game the refs go to the teams and talk about like what concerns you have and things like that.
Really?
Hmm.
Maybe it's
Just in the
yeah.
playoffs or in the regular season too?
Yeah, I think it's just in the playoffs. I don't know. I think he mentioned this probably like a week or so ago, or probably the start of the playoffs, so not too long ago. But yeah, I think that is something that happens in the playoffs.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I
I
would
didn't
not
know
expect.
that.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that. To
And
be
I'm gonna have to
honest,
like search back to that podcast. To,
whether you think it's benefiting you or hurting you, I just don't think I like it as a whole. I mean, they're human. They miss them. They call them wrong. But what you called is what you called, and it. I mean, they've been anybody that's reffing still has been doing it and is good enough to be still doing it.
right.
You
Yeah, I
know, in
guess
the play.
it's more like what Brindamore did. Like, hey, can you like keep an eye on the face-offs a little closer, or like a specific thing. It's not like you sucked. You need to call more penalties against the other team. Like it's like
Yeah,
specific
yeah.
things. I don't know if they always have things to share. I mean, I'm sure they always have complaints, but I think it's more like overall thoughts. But again,
I
I could
feel
just
like
be misinterpreting what I heard on the podcast a week ago. But
Yeah.
I
We'll
fully
never really
believe
know.
you. Yeah, no, I fully believe you, but I just can't believe all this media stuff goes. I mean, I can a little bit just so it gets out, but the media, all the ref media stuff, like you just mentioned, Brenda Moore, Berube, there's a lot of guys. It goes on and on that do this and call them out like this. If that is a case,
like Sheldon Keefe wasn't calling him out; he was kind of like hinting at it. He was being a little more subtle about
yeah.
it, but
Yeah.
he still was like, the refs are going to hear this and think twice about some of these calls next game.
Yeah. I watched. I got sucked in way more to the post game stuff than I should have today. I usually don't do it either. When they lose, I don't. I don't even open anything if they lose.
Yeah. The other thing I didn't discuss, which I know you brought up last night, was that now they have to sit in Toronto for 2 days because it's the 2 days
Yeah.
off.
Like I already mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think doesn't
Monty.
Vegas have 2 days off too?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not stuck in Dallas.
No, they're
Yeah.
going
It's
home
not
to
2 days.
Vegas.
Right. Well, so yeah, the first two games were in Dallas, right?
Yep.
And then they get to go home. Well, even between 2 and 3 is fine because you get to hang out after game 2. You spend the extra day at home mowing the yard and doing whatever, taking the kids to school, and then you get to travel the day before the game.
Yeah.
The Bruins are already there, and they're stuck there, and they're like, "Not what do we do? Go see Niagara Falls after practice?" So
Yeah.
you can't. I don't know how they sit in the hotel room for. You know what I mean? I mean, they can stretch team activities, breakfast, and stretch, and skate into 4 or 5 hours. The next thing you know, it's 2:00, and it's like, now what?
We'll be interested to
There's
see what
also-
the behind the B looks like for this for this section.
Yeah,
Like, what do they
They do a
actually
good-
do during this day?
There's also
Just-
2 days between game 4 and 5. That's also a travel day. So
That
Right.
that one's
Not as
okay.
bad.
Like that one, I don't have a
Yeah.
problem with. It's this one, yeah. And like
It's
Montgomery
weird.
was like, we shouldn't be staying in Toronto. Like we're the home team. Like if anything, they should be staying in They should be staying in Boston for an
Right.
extra day.
Yeah.
So
I agree with
get
them.
that.
I don't think it's the end of the world. It is a factor, but I don't think it's the end of the world.
well, do you know why they scheduled it like that? It's so that game 7 will be on a
On
Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
Prime time.
Yeah, and I also keep hearing there's no way between all the deciding factors that they don't make this go 7.
Well, yeah. Clearly, the refs can sway any game they want in any direction.
Kind of scary.
They can sway, man.
Speaking of Swayman,
That's all, Dean. A little bit more, please. Come on.
Speaking of Swayman, he's got to start game 4. Dean, all jokes
Here
aside,
we go.
the rotation was. Did you touch on this already?
Little.
Yeah, I mentioned your thoughts too, and I mentioned how I told Brendan that, well, you already think they're going to lose game 4. You might as well put Olmark in.
No, well, I will say this. I think if they lost last night, I think they lose game 4. Because I think sitting in the hotel hearing all the media stuff, I think they had no. I think it's 50-50. It's a coin flip for game 4 now.
Yeah, I'm still not confident. I was confident in game 3, not so much in game 4, but
I think it's 50-50. I mean, Nylander's going to play, is what I hear.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Like I said, I went down the rabbit hole. My meetings got a little boring today, and I went down the rabbit hole. And it sounds like he's going to play.
Okay.
Which is fine. You know, I mean, he's one guy, and but
I mean, basically what I said on the whole Swayman Olmark thing was, if like Swayman's playing well, but you could argue that he's playing well because he's being rotated. If he plays every night, maybe he won't play as well. And the other thing is, if Toronto beats Swayman, that's like a monkey off their back. Versus,
I know, you're right.
You go back to Olmark game 4 and win or lose, and you go back to Swayman game 5, and like if you'd rotate the whole time, then you win game 7 with Swayman in net.
Yeah, I would prefer it not go to 7.
It's going 7.
Oh God!
I handed my heart monitor back in, and I worry a little bit about that. I
can't keep this a couple more weeks.
Yeah, I just can't. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't if you're Monty. I mean, if he loses, I say, I thought you were going to rotate. And if you go to Olmark, you lost, so you should have rotated.
Yeah.
There's no right. You put Wotherspoon in net for 4.
There you go.
Yeah.
Brandon Bussey, welcome to the big show.
Good luck, kid.
Yeah. Which I think he's playing for Providence, probably in there because the AHL playoffs have started too.
I saw that.
Henderson did not make it. Bummer.
Where Henderson won? Where are they located?
They're in Nevada. They're Vegas's team. Yeah, so they're in Nevada. They're pretty close to Vegas.
Gotcha. I'd never heard of Henderson.
Savannah, I don't think made it either for the ECHL. So, all the other affiliated teams for Vegas are not in. But I did see an ECHL playoff game on last Sunday, I believe it was.
I heard that. Or did you see another one since you had the last pod come out? Because you went to the Thunder game. You and your buddy there, a couple other people. Was that pretty cool?
Yeah, so that was the first playoff game I've been to, and it was pretty cool. They ended up winning that game 2-0. They scored both of the goals in the first period, and then there were no goals for the rest of the game. And it was funny because 2 of my friends that were coming, they weren't quite able to get there for the first, so they got there like right during the first intermission, and so they got there and they saw no goals for the whole game. But there was some rough stuff, and it was pretty exciting. Shane Harper with both the goals, and he almost had a hat trick on an empty netter, but oh well. Good game.
How are their arenas? Decent?
Yeah, I don't think it's too bad. This one, I do think the concourse area, or maybe not the concourse, but like there's like a section at the top where like the food vendors and stuff are, that is not wide enough for sure. Like I would like it to be at least like 2 times wider, because it's just always
is it like Shield
tight getting in there.
Is it comparable to Shield? Clarkson Arena?
I'd say it's probably about the same as Shield. Yeah. It's the same, maybe the same height as Shield, or maybe a little bit taller. So it gets pretty loud in there, and the Thunder fans are pretty crazy. So it was a good time, good good atmosphere, and now they're in Maine. They play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which I was kind of surprised. I was like, wow, they've got a big break. Like, they've got a 5-day break in between the last playoff games, and then they play 3 games all in the one weekend. Probably just because that's
Makes
when
sense for,
people are
like,
going to want to watch.
Yeah,
Because
for
those
ticket
guys
sales.
gotta go work
Yeah.
their day job. Is why.
Exactly. So I'm
These
like,
guys gotta go back to. They gotta go back to Home Depot and Lowe's,
yeah.
make a living.
Yeah, I mean, these guys don't, they make like, 30, 40, 50,000 a year, so.
It's just cool and fun and awesome, and you're still playing hockey, right? I mean, and they get a lot of free stuff. A lot of their
Sure.
they
A lot of
make
equipment
out
and things. Yeah.
one of the Jordan Greenway's brother. I kind of followed him a little bit, Dean, because how he was in Providence last year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked him up. I think beginning of this year, he was playing. I'd never heard of this team. And again, I don't know almost anything about the East Coast, but I think it was the South Carolina Swamp Rabbits or something like. I've never heard of them or anything, and I just looked it up and saw that. I was like, I need to get a jersey for whatever that Swamp Rabbit thing is.
Yeah.
There are some good East Coast team names for sure.
Oh yeah, I think Dustin McFall, who played for Clarkson, he was a Bruins prospect, like a 6th or 7th rounder. I think he's in the ECHL for the Florida Everglades or whatever.
Oh, the Everblades.
Everblades. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They won the championship last year. That's a good one. So the series is tied 1-1 right now for the Thunder and the Maine Mariners. So we'll see how this next little stretch here goes. They theoretically could win all 3 on the road and then come back for round 2, or we'll be seeing them for game 5 or game 6. It would be.
They do 7-game series too, as well.
Yeah, so they do 2-3-2 instead of the 2-2-1-1-1.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
The where is that Adirondack? It's the Adirondack Thunder, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's actually
Where's that?
2 Thunder teams in the ECHL, which is really annoying. But
Where's the arena?
it's in Glens Falls.
Yeah,
Which is
Gotcha.
pretty
That's
close
right.
to me. So yeah, it's not
Yep.
not like a very well known area. That's why they just call it Adirondack, because it's kind of like they call it the gateway to the Adirondacks. It's not really,
Sure.
but it's pretty close.
Sure.
So yeah, it's very close to me, which is nice. Traffic is really good. Like, it's so nice not having to worry about all the extra things you got to worry about for traveling to any other game that's like an hour plus away or whatever.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's really cool.
And the tickets were like $23, $26 too, which was like, what a blessing.
Yeah, you can't beat that. Paying $600 to sit in the bottom bowl at Toronto.
Yeah.
Did you see
I've heard
like
the
I said,
complaints.
I went way too deep into the thing, but did you see everybody complaining online about how quiet the arena was and everything in Toronto last
I
night?
definitely heard that.
No, it seemed loud to me on the TV.
The public dress announcer came out. I think Joe so and so came out with a tweet saying he was disappointed in how the arena was and they need to fix this. And
I think it was the
ticket
play-by-play
prices.
guy.
Okay, the play-by-play guy. Yes, somebody came out with a comment saying that, and the ticket prices have outpriced the average fan, and they should swap the Maple Leaf Square with the lower bowl.
Yeah,
and blah,
yeah.
blah, blah.
It is a lot of older folk who are a little bit better off that can afford to go to these games. I mean, yeah,
The problem with expensive tickets, yeah, it's like all the suits and like the corporate people, and
Yeah, exactly.
they're not going to be going crazy.
Yeah, the business class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I
I mean,
think, like,
Boston
some
tickets are expensive too.
Yeah, like at concerts, there's like stories of performers going up to like the upper section, like having some fans come down to the lower area, like giving them free tickets or whatever, because like those are the real fans, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
that
The
just want to
diehards.
get. They just
Put
want
your
to be
whole
in the
paycheck
building.
into a nosebleed ticket.
Did you see somebody brought a saxophone into one of the Winnipeg Jets games? Like,
No.
how do you get that through security?
That's awesome.
For the,
Have you before I
Squirtle
forget,
saxophone.
that is awesome, and I want to come back to that. But have you seen the commercial with the Nashville guy? It's the Nashville fan with the catfish.
Oh,
taped to
yeah.
his chest, and
That
he
is
goes
a good
through
one.
security, and the guy looks at him. That's an awesome commercial.
Yeah.
Or the guy who's got that one, and the Avs fan.
Yeah.
Him and his old lady watched every series separate, and then they break up. Those are pretty good commercials.
Yeah, I like the Avs one.
We've talked about that Avs one at length a couple times. We talked about it in the group chat, and then when Justin and Zane came up for the weekend, they were talking about it. They were both like, I think it's so stupid. They're like, I don't even get it or whatever. I'm like, I got it, and I didn't think it was great, but I don't know, it's okay. Dean liked it though.
Yeah.
I like the cat. I like the Nashville. 4-2 Florida. I like the Nashville catfish one better,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
too.
that one. It's pretty funny.
but the Avs was the only other one I'd seen, so I had to imagine. I hope they come out with a new one each round.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be fun because I do think they put some real effort into it, and it does feel like the most like hockey, like being actually produced by the NHL versus like some of these other like corporate NHL related commercials where it's like, yeah, you guys really don't know anything about what it means to be a fan.
Yeah.
I mentioned it before, but the Geico Walrus one is still one of my favorites.
They've been
Every time
showing
I
that
see
one,
I'm
too.
like, it's never getting old.
That's a good
It
one.
will definitely get old. I can promise you that, but it's a good. It is a good one.
Yeah.
They're all even the coach on the
Walrus, ridiculous.
This is ridiculous.
I saw. I
He's
don't
got the
know where it
helmet on.
was. It was after game one where Swayman had stood on his head. I don't know if it was again
I saw
a
this
media thing or a Chicklets thing or what it was. That somebody came out with it's a walrus comment talking about
Yeah.
Swayman.
Swayman in net tonight.
Oh god.
That's a good one. Any fans in Canada are probably like, yeah, we're not getting any of these ads, so I don't really know what you're talking about. But
I've heard in the past that they like.
True.
I think it was during the COVID year. I think there was a Discover ad that played every single time. It's probably blocked from my memory. I just remember it being one of the most annoying ads ever. And I think they discussed it on like the Puck Soup podcast, and one of them's in Canada. And like, I didn't see this at all. Like our commercials were fine.
Yeah, it is crazy. You need the pasta Dunkin' Donuts one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Little
a
help,
good one.
please. The bubble hockey.
Yeah. Those are good.
Speaking
No,
of how people are going to be watching the games, so in sorry, for the next 2 seasons, Amazon will have exclusive rights to Monday night national games broadcast in Canada. So yeah, any of the national games on Mondays will be on Prime Video, so you'll need to have that. Which apparently it's the first like digital exclusive streaming platform that'll have games in Canada. Which
That's good.
is
I have Prime.
different.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean it won't affect us because we're in the U.S., but
okay.
yeah, it's just for Canada.
Well, I thought that mean I can watch those games on Prime though, or only if I was in Canada.
Only if you were in Canada or if you had a VPN that made you think that you were in Canada.
Sure.
So yeah,
You
theoretically,
yes.
you could watch games in America easier if you do it that way, I guess.
How do you watch, Brendan? ESPN Plus, or do you do the stream?
Well, I mean, yeah, ESPN Plus has not been carrying any of the playoff games, which stinks. They've only
Right.
been on ESPN, ESPN2, or like your local broadcasters, and then like the TBS Max has had a couple of them.
Yeah.
So I've been sailing the high seas for the games that I don't have legitimate subscription for, because I don't have I don't have basic cable or any sort of cable package. So
Yeah, I use my mom's YouTube TV, which is actually great.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
that's good. It's just expensive.
it is. But I mean, if you split it, absolutely agree. But if you can, I think you can watch 3 different places at the same time.
Yeah,
So
that's
if you were to
nice.
legitimately split that, it's not terrible compared to what you pay for regular cable at your house.
Yep.
And does that have all the channels you need to watch the playoffs? Like, well, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
all
and
ESPN,
I get every Bills
ABC,
game. Yeah, it's got ESPN Plus,
TBS.
ESPN or not Plus, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN U. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, it's got TBS, True, TNT. It's
Yeah.
got it's
ABC,
pretty
I would
good.
assume, because yeah, ABC is where the
Mhm.
finals are going to be on, so that'll be a big one.
Is that the
Oh,
first time
really?
having the hockey finals?
I think so. I think it's the first time the Stanley Cup Finals
Are
been
they gonna
on
have
ABC.
a new theme music?
Ooh, that would be fun to get to debut a new theme. You get so nostalgic for the ones that you've heard for so long.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like I watched some highlights and it had the NBC one. I'm like, NBC was so
Yeah,
good.
I was
I
listening
like
to the
that.
ESPN one the other day.
Hmm.
I don't. I will. I don't love the ESPN stuff. I like TNT. I mean, first of all, you can't beat Biz and those degenerates on the panel, and
Yeah,
I
they're
can't
good.
stand Subban. I almost want to just
Yeah,
turn the volume off when I have to
he is
listen to Ray
not
Ferraro.
great.
Ray Ferraro. Ray Ferraro. I think is pretty good at his job, but I can't stand him. And I don't know why.
He's
I
kind
can't.
of annoying.
I,
Oh,
it,
speaking of announcers, who do you have any guess on who replaces Jack Edwards?
it's got to be the guy who did the couple games there this year, right?
Alex Faust.
Alex. I didn't even know his last name. Alex something. I mean, he
Yeah.
put like words in order, like almost in a sentence. He's pretty much hired.
Yeah,
Mhm.
low hanging fruit to grasp there.
The
Unfortunately,
bar
it has
set
been rough.
low.
It has been rough
Jack had
listening
a
to
really good
Jack.
game last night. He had like no slip ups. Unless I'm just
Oh,
getting
you're
used to
still
it.
listening? You still get him?
Yeah, I'm doing Nesson still.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
No, it was good. I was talking earlier about how Andy Brickley was complaining about the refs, how there was one call that a Maple Leaf player went down, and then the fans reacted, and then the ref's arm went up.
Yeah, right.
And Brickley was
Yeah,
not
Brick
not
definitely went
happy.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jack. I heard you talk about it on your last episode too. But announced uh, Jack's retirement. He was awesome. It's time.
Yep.
He will forever be remembered. I mean, he was a voice for, like you said, I don't know, 22 or however many years.
Hmm.
It's
19,
all
I
I
think.
remember.
Yeah.
It's all I remember. Well, it felt like 25, but it's all I remember. He was there for the cup run, the 2 cup failures.
Mm-hmm.
God bless him.
Yeah, and
Yep.
during his heyday, like before he started dealing with these like health issues or whatever they are, I thought he was like really talented. And yeah, I know. There's always the controversy with him as far as like the Homer stuff. We've already gone into it a little bit, but yeah, I think he brought a lot of passion. So I hope the next guy can fill those shoes. I do think if it was John Forsland, like some of the rumors have suggested, that would be a
Really?
good replacement. Yeah, he's in Seattle right
Wow.
now, but I think that would be a good change.
He does some national games too, though, doesn't he?
I think he does do some of them. Yeah,
I feel like I know that name more than most
Yeah.
guys.
yeah. He was with the Canes for a little bit, and then he went over to the Kraken when they came into the league with JT Brown, and now Eddie Olczyk is with the Kraken too. So that's why I kind of feel like it might work. Like if they do Eddie and JT, and then maybe somebody else between the benches, like that could work.
Eddie's not with Chicago anymore.
No, he's not.
How? He's the man.
I
But
guess he
Dean,
wanted
before
to
I
go
forget,
to Seattle.
you need to take over. You need to bring the "Who Has More Fun Than Us" tour. Needs to be your new sign on or
Yeah.
sign off for the podcast.
I thought you were saying I was gonna take Jack Edwards' spot for the Bruins.
There we go.
Me and Brendan
give her a go.
We could fill
can
in.
go.
Yeah.
You want to do play by play or color?
I feel like I would be better at play by play, but I don't know.
That's good. I wanted to be the color anyway.
Oh,
we're
good.
I
doing
feel like you could do it for sure. The play-by-play, and you guys actually might be able to do that.
Here we
You
go.
need to do it. You need to do a game. Mute the
Yeah.
TV and do a game.
Well, we'll make a new Twitch account in case it gets banned, and we'll just stream a Bruins game,
There we go.
mute
Not
it,
this
and
year, though.
just announce it.
Next year.
Yeah, no, not gonna do it in the playoffs.
No, gosh, no.
All right. I'm
Preseason.
sure you guys are running long here, but did you already talk about how the $150 million Vegas Knights are whooping up on Dallas?
We touched
We
on
did.
it.
We,
Those guys are-
I gave Brendan his chance to defend.
I watched the
Defending-
highlights. They look. I watched the first period of each game or most of it, then fall asleep in the chair. I just wake up and watch the game recap in the morning, and
Yeah.
I mean, they're just too good. They're good. They're really good.
They've got better depth, arguably, than last year.
They do.
So it's like, it's tough for Dallas. No doubt
I
about it.
feel like
Fourth
this
seed.
might as well be this very
Yeah.
well. Besides the
Fourth
Cup final, this will be their toughest round. Which is crazy because they could end up playing. They're either going to play Chicago or Winnipeg. You know, they have probably
Colorado.
arguably toughest path to the Cup. They
Yeah,
probably have the
'cause-
toughest path to the Cup by
Yeah,
far.
because either one of those teams would be tough, and then it's probably Edmonton or maybe Nashville or Vancouver. I don't know. We'll see about LA, but yeah, if it's like Dallas
Yeah.
into Colorado into Edmonton, like that'd be pretty tough.
So Florida's up 4-2 in Game 3 right now. 6 minutes left. About to go up 3-0, barring disaster.
Big.
Do you think they win in 4?
5.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm glad we're not playing Tampa. Even though Florida makes them look bad, they're good.
I agree.
They are good, yeah. Vasilevsky's actually been playing pretty well too, which and
Yeah.
they're still losing because of it. That's like the worst part for Tampa fans, I'm sure.
Yeah. Carolina's up 3-2 here.
Not a lot
in
of
Game
sympathy there
3.
though.
I think, yeah. I mean, a lot of these series, like I thought Tampa, Florida was going to go the distance. I still think Boston, Toronto goes the distance, but you know, there's no way the Rangers series goes any more than 5. There's no way this Islanders series goes any more than 5. Kind of what you guys touched on.
Yeah. Probably not.
I think Dallas comes back, gets 2 to Vegas wins in 6. But yeah, I haven't watched it. What do you think? I mean, they can't go down the way they can't go. I mean, they're good games, but they can't go down without a win or 2.
I don't think so. I don't see us sweeping. It just with the team's way too talented for that.
They're a good team.
They're
really good.
they're too strong to go out without a fight. I wouldn't be surprised if this went 6 or 7 still. I don't want to because I'd rather just rest up for Colorado or Winnipeg, but
You don't have to fake injuries anymore though. It's all good. Like you can just end it whenever.
That's true.
I'm just messing with. But I saw something that said Mark Stone should get the MVP for healing a broken spleen in 3 weeks, whatever it was. And all I need to get your number so I can send you these memes. I've been seeing them for the last couple of weeks. I send them to Dean
Sure.
as I send this to your buddy.
You can send them to our email and we can put them on the pod.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
it's
we
a
go.
good shit. I wrote down. Like I said, I found there was it's like an NHL trivia. There's some really cool questions, and I heard them the other day. I was like, so I went through them and I wrote them down. And I was gonna call the number. I'll do it this week. Next week. I know. I got them written down on a sticky note on my computer.
There you go.
So I'll do it.
All right.
But now it's not the time. This is when you actually got stuff to talk about. That's regular season
the
stuff.
juicy stuff, yeah.
So. All right, boys. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, thanks for the
Thank
impromptu
you.
joined call.
Bees in 6, Stars in 6.
Toronto in
Everybody-
7.
Everybody goes home happy.
Well, not everybody.
There's no way Vegas loses this. Knock on wood.
Okay, hopefully you're right.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right, you want to just end with a couple news items and get out of here?
Yeah, we better touch on that last coaching one, since we said before we talk about the other coach. So
Yeah,
Sharks
and here
fired
it
David
is.
Quinn.
Not
Which it's like,
surprisingly.
okay. I mean, I don't really, what did you really expect for him to do? I guess there were like
Yeah.
some fans were like pointing to the back-to-back 10 goals allowed games, and like you can't really allow that as a professional coach. Like that's tough. But I don't know. Maybe they, like Mike Greer, kind of just was like, you know what, we just need a change. We need to accelerate things slightly. I don't think they should be like buying this year in free agency or anything like that. Like, don't try to push the timeline more than it should be. But yeah, Quinn did have one more year on his contract, so they haven't named a replacement yet. We'll see who signs up for San Jose. They had like some interesting games down the stretch. Eklund with a hat trick overtime winner was a pretty fun one, and still there were still some Sharks fans that went to the games, so that's reassuring. It's like, the fans are still engaged. I thought that they did a good job of trying their best to be engaging with the fans this year, when you know that the on ice product isn't going to be very good. And I think, I can't remember for sure, but I think Nico Sturm had the best face-off percentage in the league this year in the regular season. Let me see if NHL Edge has anything on that. But did you have anything for the Quinn firing?
Not really. Not surprised, but again, like you said, also not really his fault.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess they just kind of felt like there was a need for a change. Let me see. Where does it have face-off information? I don't know. Maybe I can't find it very easily. I'm not seeing any information on face-offs on NHL Edge. Yeah, it was a quick one. Alex Vlasic signs a six-year, $4.6 million per extension with the Blackhawks. There were some comparables to John Marino, which I think is a good comparison. So that's kind of a bright spot for them, trying to lock up a potential young defensive core piece for them as they try to figure out what their future looks like. I haven't watched a ton of him. I mean, I don't really like Chicago to begin with, and they weren't really exactly a team worth watching besides, Bedard for the most part this year. So
Yeah, I don't have much to say about his gameplay either. I was looking up if he was related to Marc-Edouard Vlasic, and they're cousins apparently. Because he has 3 younger brothers, Marc-Edouard Vlasic, and he also has a cousin, Emma Vlasic, who plays for the Connecticut Whale of the Premier Hockey Federation.
Oh.
And was a former captain of Yale's women's hockey team, and her younger brother, Alex, plays for the Blackhawks.
There you go.
Yeah, so there is a relation. I was like, well, you don't see many Vlasics.
No. Besides the Pickles, of course.
Yes.
Vlasic. Very fancy.
And I guess the Utah news is still unraveling. There hasn't been a ton of updates. It's more been about people speculating on the name.
Yeah, more names being trademarked, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And Ryan Smith said that they plan on having a fan-voted bracket to determine Utah's team name. So that'll be interesting. I don't know if they'll actually go with that, or if on the bracket, if the names are going to be like all kind of like bad names and then the one good name, or like how they're actually going to end up doing it, or if it's going to be a true free-for-all, because what we've learned in the past with letting the internet name things is that normally doesn't go well unless there's structure to it. So.
Yeah, it's dangerous. I
Yeah.
think the team will, well, the organization will probably choose the eight names, like rather than having it be open ended, because that'll never, nobody will ever be united for anything positive. I think, like, rather than like,
hockey face.
yeah, everybody votes for Stormin' Mormons or whatever, and it's like, okay, we got to throw all these votes out. So I think that's how they'll do it. We'll see, if like the internet just tries to pick up the biggest, like the memeiest name that they can find, and like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try our best. I hope they pick something that I end up liking, but I don't know. It's gonna be tough to tell, especially since we don't really know anything about the team colors.
You can also just rig the votes and say, "Oh, this one won."
Yeah, they can certainly do that, and we'll never know. So we'll see if they actually. Well, we won't see if they honor it because we won't know. But they did have a fan like meet and greet thing over the. I think it was just on Wednesday, and so there was like 15,000 people at Delta Center for that. The former Coyotes players were doing meet and greets and talking to the fans on the microphones, just introducing themselves a little bit. So they had some fun with that.
Like a lot of people showed up to the arena to watch that.
Torney was there as well, and he said that this has been his biggest opportunity so far in the league, or biggest moment so far. So the players and the members of the organization are saying the right things as far as like how they feel about Utah being successful, which is good. I mean, I don't want to be like one of the people that was rooting for Arizona and now like I'm trying to actively root for the downfall of the Utah or anything like that. Like I want the new team to succeed. I don't think that changes how I feel about Arizona being gone at all. It's not like Arizona was my primary team, so I don't really feel the same way, the same level of betrayal and stuff that some of the former Coyotes fans feel.
Yeah.
Do you have a front runner in your mind for what you'd like them to go with out of some of the names that have been rumored?
I think all the rumored ones kind of suck.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they're all bad. Like I do think Yeti would be okay. Blizzard is like all right. I think Venom might be one of the better ones. At first, I didn't think I'd like it. But
Stag wouldn't be terrible.
Yeah, Stag I'd also be a fan of. There've been a couple different options. What was the one that I just saw the other day that was like, I think Raptors, because like some dinosaurs were like discovered there or something like that.
I think that name's kind of taken.
Yeah, that's probably why they wouldn't end up going with it. But it would be cool to have like a dinosaur thing for the NHL. There's always cool merchandise and logo ideas you can come up with for Raptors. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen one particular name that I've like absolutely fallen in love with, and I kind of don't want to do that because I don't want to get my hopes up.
True.
So I guess I'll hold out until like the actual bracket is announced or whatever. We'll go from there.
While we're on the topic of Utah, do you see Greg Wyshynski's tweet saying that he just realized that Shea Weber's contract now belongs to Utah and that he potentially will be the first player in franchise history to make the Hall of Fame?
I did see that.
Kind of fun.
Kind of funny. We'll see.
Kind of memey.
And then people were like, well, is he actually a Hall of Famer? And I don't really want to get into that whole thing.
Hall of Very Good kind of thing.
Yeah, like, I don't know. People could talk about what they feel like for the Hall of Fame. I don't really want to get into it because I'm not as familiar with Shea Weber's full career either. So I don't have as much of a voice as people who have watched him for a lot longer. But that was funny.
Yeah.
So we'll see how everything shakes out with them over the next couple of months as we head into the the draft lottery, potentially they could win that, and then the draft in June.
Winning the lottery would be crazy.
That would be crazy, and I think a lot of people would be upset,
Yes.
especially former Coyotes fans who never got to see their team win the lottery. So, I don't know. It would be chaotic, and there would be a lot of buzz, just like there was when the Blackhawks won it last year. So, I know that I do firmly believe that the NHL does not rig it. I'm sorry. I can't get there. But this would be a great case for them to do it, I think. If they wanted to get a lot of buzz and turn Utah into a destination with a lot of eyes on it.
Yeah.
By other people outside of the hockey sphere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's in May, like May 8th or something like that. It's pretty close.
Yeah. And you can win 2 free tickets to the draft by getting first place in that dumb hockey game where you have to jump over.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be the best in our group chat, which no one has sent a screenshot above mine yet, so I don't need to play it anymore.
There you go. Yeah, I barely played it. I was like, I don't really want to, and it was kind of difficult. So
I was like, I could try really hard to get first place for 2 tickets, and I'm like, man, I don't care that much.
no.
Like, I have 3,500, and the top score is only 7,500. That's not that far, but I'm sure
Yeah.
exponentially gets faster.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Their own little Google Chrome Dino game.
Yeah, and for those wondering, if you Google like NHL wit contest, I'm sure it'll come up.
Try your best. Win 2 tickets to the draft in Vegas this year.
Mm-hmm. In the Sphere, good
In the
stuff.
Sphere. The NFL draft's actually going on right now. I wonder how far into it that is.
Oh, who the Giants pick? Probably someone who's not going to help the franchise at all.
Probably not. I don't think the Bills would have drafted yet. Yeah, we're only 2 hours in. Unless they traded up.
We can end the podcast there with the Giants selecting Malik Nabers, wide receiver from LSU. Neighbors? I don't know. I don't know any of these people.
Malik, probably.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, yeah. That's a big name. I haven't done...
Heard of
enough
Caleb
research.
Williams.
Was that the first overall pick, I assume?
Yeah, our Bears took him.
Yeah. Not a surprise there.
Olumiyiwa Fashanu,
That
offensive tackle.
that was probably
Penn
right.
State. Yeah, probably.
We'll stick to hockey names.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. More playoff excitement next week.
Panthers win 5-3.
Oh, there we go.
Hurricanes up 3-2. 8 minutes left.
Not looking good for the Islanders and the Lightning. And probably the Caps, too.
All right. See you guys.
See ya. The TV.
Comes out pretty far. Like, probably like arm's length.
Oh, okay. So you weren't, like,
I wasn't
pressed
smushed,
up against the
no.
wall, like, "Ugh, I think I got it." Like, your head has to be, like, turned like this.
Yeah. No, I wasn't just like crushed between a wall and a television.
Yeah, that's good.